Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Make It Happen podcast. My name is Melanie Moreno, and today we have a solo episode. Well, it's not really a solo episode because I know you're here listening, so I feel comforted in knowing I am not alone here. I've got to say, I always feel a little weird whenever I have filmed episodes just on my own, and I think it's because, like, here's the weird thing, like, just because someone puts themselves on the internet or has a podcast or does any of these things, it doesn't mean that they are completely free of insecurities or worries or concerns about how they may come across. And when I say someone, I mean me. Yeah, I've gotten comfortable doing some of these things, but it's kind of like that phrase of even if you have fear. I don't remember what the phrase is exactly, but there's some phrase out there, something about like having fear and doing it anyway. I feel like that's what I'm doing in every situation. Like the fear is there and I still just go after it. There's a number of things I have fear around and I have yet to tackle. But that's okay. Like, this is life. I have a lot more years ahead of me, I imagine, to tackle these fears. So I'm doing it one step at a time. So there's a number of things that I want to address today. First things first, I want to address the new music. If you listen to the past few episodes, you'll know that I had a certain song as the theme music. And I was so excited to have that song for the theme music because I wanted to support this band that I love. A musician friend of mine is in that band, and I just really wanted to support them by having this song as my theme music. But I no longer have it because I got flagged for copyright on YouTube. And according to, like, I was trying to investigate what that meant, and apparently I could keep it that way. I could keep the music, but I wouldn't be able to monetize it, which isn't a big deal, but I just feel like things are getting a little stricter here in the digital space for music. Recently, Spotify owns Anchor, which is the media host that I use for my podcast, and Spotify recently allowed this way to include music in your podcast only through Anchor because they own it. And you can put full songs in there, and it's a way to still account for song plays. That way, songs still get, the listening numbers, they still get credited that way. And it's like a legal way to include music in your podcast because having 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 1 second of music in a podcast or a video that you do not own, like the music that you do not own, should not be included at all. So, all this to say, I don't want to get sued. So, I just thought, let's take care of this now so I don't have to deal with this in the future. So we're just going with some new music. I want to thank my good friend, my best friend, Israel Rodriguez, for lending me some music. He's been on the podcast before. You can go check it out in season 1. He helped me out with editing the first few episodes of this season also, sound-wise. Anyway, he's a good friend of mine. He makes music. He makes really cool music and very diverse music. Like, all of it's so different. He gets inspired from things he hears and he samples music, like so much cool stuff. So I am using his original song called Year Long Journey. And yeah, so that's going to be the podcast music. this season. Whoop whoop. Moving on to other topics on the agenda. Not that I have an agenda. I'm not like, I don't have things totally written out. I did take a few quick notes just to keep me guided and not just rambling about something because I think I can easily do that. And also, I can easily do that because there's a lot that I feel I haven't really been talking about. This is kind of the perfect transition here because I started the podcast because I felt like way back when I first started it, I felt like I wanted to get in contact with people who were doing cool things. I wanted to connect with these people. I was inspired by them and I thought let's connect and I can ask you questions and bring this insight that you have to other people's ears. I thought it was just like such a cool concept to do that. And then as I started doing episodes, I started feeling like I have things to say too. Which is like perfect because I have a podcast, so I can do that. And I did. There's a couple of solo episodes I've done, maybe like 4 at this point, 5. I'm not quite sure. But I've done a couple of solo episodes and it's been a really long time since I've done one or since I've communicated in that way. I've spoken on Instagram stories, I made a few videos like that, but I think there's something really special about making a podcast episode because this is just this long chat that we get to have together. And I've been needing it. I've been needing it really, really bad. And I don't like using the word need either because the word need implies that I am not whole on my own, that I do not have all my needs met. And I don't know, like the word need has this desperate tone to it, and I try not to need things. I can want things. That's another totally okay thing in my book to have a lot of wants and a lot of desires, but there shouldn't be things that I need, I think. But yet, when I have been feeling so disconnected and like struggling in recent months because I haven't been connecting with people in the way that I used to pre-COVID. um, I'm sure I'm not the only one. I know some people are going about things differently than I am. Everyone's going about things differently during this pandemic that we are in. So that's not to throw shade or anything at all. Everyone's making their own choices and doing things how they feel fit. So that's fine. But my social life has really sucked. And I think there's something that I've had. It's like this this feeling that I've had on my chest or within my body, I'll say, the past year, well, longer than that, but really during the past year, my physical health hasn't been what it used to be. It's if you've been around my blog, I have spoken about the TMJ pain that I was having for a while, and that's still there, but it's kind of progressed. I don't know if it's tied up in the same thing, but I've gotten like neck pain, back pain, um, like pain in my hands and fingers, just this tightness all around my body, um, my my lower back, my hamstrings, like everything just feels really tight, and it's so weird to think about like a year ago when I was just feeling pain in my jaw. And not that that was a comfortable feeling at all, but now it's like challenging, obviously, to have my whole body feel different. And it's just this weird thing of like, I'm not looking for a diagnosis. It's just, I think just being able to talk about this and show that I have things that I'm struggling with too is kind of a relief because I know I know no one's telling me to do this, but I've kind of taken on this idea that I need to have things all together or I should have things all together and I should present them that way, like on the internet or on this podcast, even in conversation with other people, like kind of downplaying whatever it is I'm going through. And part of that's coming from the fact that I don't want to dwell on the things that are not that great in my life. I don't want to dwell on these things, but I think also by not talking to them, by having them really bother me and affect me when I'm on my own, and then not talking about them with people when the opportunity comes up, when I have someone else's ears available and I'm not talking about these things, I think that makes me sick. I think it contributes to the dis-ease in my body. And I think not being able to be truthful and be honest about the way I'm feeling. And that's not to say I've been dishonest, it's to say that I haven't been showing the whole picture, showing the full picture. It's like, I don't know who's been around for this long, but I used to be really into food and nutrition, and I would take food photos. I'd post those on Instagram. I was super into that. And when I stopped feeling good about that, when it didn't feel creatively satisfying, when it didn't feel emotionally satisfying, when I just didn't want to be into the food stuff anymore, I tried to sidestep out of that, and I felt like I was kind of struggling there being in new terrain. I got more into personal development work, and I felt I felt seen in that, um, the content I was consuming in the realm of personal development. And lucky for me, I think, lucky for me, when I dove into that, I also found, I kind of found spirituality at the same time. It was like spirituality with personal development instead of just personal development stuff on its own, which I'm sure is fine. Like, I'm not speaking on the quality of either one, but I think naturally by finding it the way I did, it encouraged me to develop my own spiritual practice, which has been really cool and really satisfying, I do say. So, to get back on point here, I was really into the food stuff and food pictures, food photography, nutrition, everything. It was like all that was on my brain. And I just decided I had enough, and it didn't feel healthy for me. I felt like I wasn't enjoying my life as much as I wanted to. The joy that I thought I once felt from taking a photo of like a plate that looked super cool and full of delicious, yummy food, it just wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be eating cold food anymore because I took a picture of it, um, or spending time styling it, or I just didn't want to do these things anymore, which is okay. I have no regrets about that. But um, it was really hard for me to stop doing that. And I felt like I was kind of in this limbo space of like doing that a little bit, but also trying to bring in some other stuff because it, um, it had become something I was so involved in, and it was hard to shift out of. And in some ways, I feel like that right now. I'm reminded of that time because I feel like I've been on this more, like the kind of content that I've been creating and sharing. There's a personal development aspect to it, and I don't think I've been sharing the spiritual aspect, the um, less tangible aspect of personal development content, which is where I'm really lit up. And I don't think I'm I mean, spirituality is different to everyone. So I'm not even gonna go down this like side step that I was thinking, because nothing is wrong. There's nothing wrong with anyone's spiritual practice, and I think it's really important for me to acknowledge that and to know that I'm allowed to talk about this because I felt like I haven't. I felt like I genuinely felt nervous to share anything semi-spiritual, even the things that are within the realm of personal development and have like this slight tone of spirituality to it. I feel so scared to share these things because I think people are going to think I'm weird. I I know a lot of people who follow me and like people who I've met in real life, and I just get kind of scared thinking if I was talking about this in person with them, what would they be thinking? Or imagining their faces, imagining people like cringing and thinking I'm I don't like using this word, but I think it adds to the point, thinking I'm crazy. So I don't I guess I don't feel comfortable sharing that, or I haven't felt comfortable sharing that. But a really that's a really big part of my own identity, I feel. My spirituality, I feel, is so influential for what I do and the way I think. And for a while it felt like this part of me that was helping me grow. And now I realize not only has it helped me grow, but I've grown into that.
These days, there are so many options for online shopping. You can order your shoes online, your groceries, pet supplies, novelty items, adaptogenic herbs, tickets for airline flights, and so much more. The tricky part is when you've loaded up your cart and are ready to check out and you see the price tag. I start second guessing whether or not I want to buy these things. I know I'm not the only one who gets a little carried away with shopping, but more than anything, I just want to know that I'm getting the best deal. That's where Honey comes in. Honey is a web browser plugin that you can install for free to help you score the items you want with maximum savings. If you're shopping on Amazon, you can see the price history, changes that have occurred, and even drop list items, which basically means Honey will keep an eye on the items, so if the price goes down anytime soon, you'll get notified. Outside of Amazon, Honey will automatically scan for coupon codes when you're on a website checkout page. This is truly such a time saver because who can ever keep track of all the possible codes? Honey not only saves you money, but allows you to keep buying the things you love and earn credits each time you make a purchase. If you enjoy a good deal, then Honey is perfect for you. Visit the link in the show notes to join Honey and start saving today.
I've headed into this direction of becoming more spiritual and now feeling that I am not just someone who has a spiritual component to me, but that I am someone who is spiritual. And that is a weird thing to announce all of a sudden. I guess somehow this feels a little scary to talk about, knowing that some people who I've seen online who are a little bit witchy or alternative and they have gotten some hate or they've gotten um, bullied or they've had friends and family fall away because they are into things that are woo woo or weird, whatever it is. And I guess I'm just kind of worried about that, thinking, well, what is everyone gonna think? And I I've been trying to maintain this. It's oh, it makes me feel so like tight in my throat to even try and to say this because I've felt like I've been trying to balance these two different spaces of like satisfying the people who what I think, would satisfy the people who follow me, who are interested in what I do, trying to satisfy them with content while also trying to make content that feels good to me, that satisfies me. So, why can't these two be the same thing? They can. I know they can, but it's just that part of like the scared part of me that thinks if I completely just share stuff that I am interested in, that feels aligned with me and the person I am and the person I'm becoming, if I share this sort of content, then I'm going to isolate the people who've been following me, or they're going to be like, who is she now? I don't even know who she is. I don't know. These are the things that I'm scared of. Not necessarily is this going to happen. Some people could follow me and be like, oh, yes, this makes sense. Melanie is like this, and I'm going to stick around. And I think the thing that I'm just now trying to get comfortable with is just knowing that I cannot be for everyone. And I've said this to myself multiple times. I know I cannot be for everyone, and to be for everyone would be entirely ridiculous because, like, I just feel like I've been living this very watered down self, um, living as a very watered down version of myself, like sharing some stuff, but it's just so mild that it's not controversial. It's so mild that it's not impactful. And I mean, that's not to put down anything that I've shared before. And if you have enjoyed anything I've shared before, it's not to put down you either. Um, it's just to say that, like, I feel like I have so much more in me and I'm not fulfilling that. And one way I wanted to start doing that was by talking more, talking on here more, sharing. I don't like going on Instagram quite as much as I used to. It, for one, is a giant time suck. Can we all agree? I think everyone can agree that it's a giant time suck. And while it's entertaining, I have really tried to spend time elsewhere. And um, I think I feel a lot healthier in my mind. I feel a lot healthier um, when I'm not spending as much time on Instagram or on social media in general. Twitter's another one that can become a big time suck all of a sudden also. And everyone on Twitter just complains too. I feel like I'll go on there and I and I'm like, why is everyone just so angry about things or complaining and hating on whatever? I don't know. It could also be the people I follow, I guess. I look, I'm not trying to say that anything's wrong either. I totally know that people have the right to use social media as they want to. Any anyone who's doing these things is within their right. And so I am trying to find this place of like respecting that, but also saying like I don't have to do this. I don't have to consume this. I don't have to see this just because other people are not yet open to me being spiritual doesn't mean I'm not allowed to talk about these things. And if I'm always wondering, always considering what someone else is thinking or could be thinking, I have an episode, I think, like a few episodes back, if you scroll through the feed on your podcast player, on people pleasing. And oh my goodness, people pleasing has been a huge part of my life. Not that I want it to be a huge part of my life, but it's just been very, very much a thing that I have attached to, this desire to please other people. And as I became aware of that, it's a constant process of shedding and stripping down the layers and getting rid of these very small, minute ways that I am still trying to please other people. And here it is. Here's one trying to adjust my content to meet the needs of other people or meet the ideas I have about what other people want to see. And I don't know who is happy about that because I don't feel happy about that. I as I've said, it's been hard over here. I don't want to paint it like if I'm in paradise or killing it and doing all the things like motivational with my business or whatever. Like, I'm not trying to paint it like it's perfect here. And yet I feel like I'm a little scared to show up and say these things. I'm a little scared to show this other side, the imperfect side, right? And part of that's because social media has become this highlights reel. Instagram in particular is very much a highlights reel. Even if someone shares something a little tough or vulnerable once in a while, it's it's not like we're airing our shadows. It's not like we're airing out like the the dirty laundry. And it doesn't have to be that way either. It's just I think things have just gone really messed up and murky in my own head ever since the pandemic started because I'm not having these in-person conversations where I used to really get into some deep talks with people. That's where I feel like I really shine as being able to have one-on-one conversations with people and um and it's not quite as easy to speak to a group because then that's when I do that watering down myself thing because I don't really it's easier to kind of gauge the reaction of one person and talk to them, but how do you talk to a giant group? I'm not really sure. And maybe the answer is to just do it like if it was one person that you were talking to, just just make content that way, or write content that way, or um, speak that way. I suppose that's an option. And um, yeah, so that's kind of the space I've been in lately. And I don't want to feel like I have to be the same person. In astrology, I never really considered this, but in astrology, there's fixed a fixed sign, a cardinal sign, and a mutable sign for each of the elements. I think even if you're not too familiar with astrology, that's kind of a basic element. Maybe you're familiar with that. If not, I mean, that's fine. But so I'm a Libra in astrology, which is a cardinal sign. And I've always just thought about myself that way. I thought of myself as being very much like an initiator and a go getter. I think of myself that way. But I also have a Taurus rising and a Leo moon, which are both fixed signs. And I've been um, really feeling it in in the past few months and a lot more lately. I've been really feeling it, how it's challenging to get out of a space that I've been in. Um, I guess figuratively and literally. Now that I think of it, that does have a literal sense to it as well. But um, figuratively speaking, it's hard to get myself out of a space of being and just like how I was saying when I was super into nutrition and feeling like I had to hold on to that, I had to keep doing that. That's what I had built up and what I had gotten used to. I went to health coaching school. I studied nutrition and got a certification in that. So I was like, I have to make this work. And it was really hard to face the harsh reality that it wasn't feeling good for me anymore, which is a whole story on its own. I can share on that too if you're interested sometime. So, the feeling that I've had lately, like I said, very similar. I'm very much feeling like I don't want to be the same person. I don't want to share the same stuff that I've been sharing. And I think I share little parts of like where I want to head and the content that I want to bring more into my like into my brand, into my social media, into the podcast. I share little bits of that here and there, But but I guess I'm a little scared, like where you guys are gonna go. Are you still gonna want to stick around as I change, as I grow? And I really hope so. That's that's all I can say, is that I hope you are still interested in sticking around as I change and as I grow. Naturally, everyone's doing that, so it feels unfair to not be accepting when someone else wants to grow and develop themselves and do something different. I think I used to struggle with that myself when I was younger, when I knew someone and I felt like this person is this way and they're one way, and then they just kind of take a left and do something completely different, or um, like change their behavior, start thinking differently. And it would just startle me. I would be like, who is this person? I don't understand you anymore. So I think I, to some extent, have a difficult time with changes. I didn't realize how much, but I'm not saying it's an impossible feat, that I am not ever like open to people changing or myself changing. It's just a little challenging to have that happen. And I've been trying to, if anything, like during this past year, this has been a time to just be accepting of changes, be accepting of the things that are out of my control, out of our control, and just kind of let them unfold and use those as opportunities to bounce off of and to continue doing the work, and like looking within myself and how I can grow. So there's a lot of growth that has been happening within me, inside of me, slowly, slowly, slowly. And I feel like I just am ready to open up about that and share some deeper parts of me with you. So if you're into that, then I hope you'll stick around, and I anticipate doing some more podcast episodes with me sharing some of these deeper parts of me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And even though it feels kind of like I just rambled about a whole bunch of stuff, maybe that's cool. Maybe that's what helps us feel connected, and maybe helps you feel like you're not alone in thinking some of these thoughts yourself. Um, if you do have any similar thoughts, then I'd love to hear from you. You can send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. The links to everything are going to be in the show notes. You can also take a picture of the episode, screenshot it, post it to your stories, and tag the Make It Happen podcast. Of course, you can also share the episode with a friend of yours, anyone who you think would be interested in hearing this sort of content. Send it their way, let them know that they should subscribe. So, yeah, I look forward to sharing some more deep nuggets with you in the coming weeks. We're still going to have some guest episodes. I want to keep doing those. I like talking with people, so we're still, I'm choking on my words here. We're still going to have some guests coming up, but we're also going to have some podcast episodes where I'm just being more revealing and sharing some things more spiritual. So I'll just leave it at that. I'm really, really excited about this new leaf that I feel I am turning over. Caterpillar blossoming into a butterfly, that kind of feeling. Lots of excitement on my end, so I hope it's reciprocated. I hope the excitement is felt on your end too. Okay, that's enough. I wish you all the best. I look forward to talking with you again soon. I love you so much. Take care. Bye.